Hey guys, a little bit more soul. Um, questions, answers. Let's get on it.
Whom do you mean?
I mean, people whose end products are ideas. There are other people with great intelligence whose end products are things like the Salk vaccine. There are
A research scientist is not necessarily an intellectual.
That's right.
An engineer isn't necessarily an intellectual.
That's right. Because the engineer is judged by the end product, which is not simply ideas. If he builds a building that collapses, it doesn't matter how brilliant his idea was, he's ruined. Conversely, if an intellectual who's brilliant has an idea for rearranging society, and that ends in disaster, he pays no price at all.
I see.
How interesting is that? How interesting is that? You think about all the people that are out there spouting their ideas and what they know to be true or what they think is politically expedient to help them either get elected or whatever the reasoning is that somebody spouts their ideas. I always think that see people like Sowell and stuff like that. It takes time for you to understand what he's saying and why he's saying it. These things are not bumper stickers. They're not they're not things that you can just hear a sentence and that's it, you get it. And that's kind of a problem, especially in our society today, because it takes time to understand these things. They're complicated. It's not a one size fits all. It's not a, raise the minimum wage or do this or do that and then that's it. It's simple. It's not simple. And so when you're developing and you're coming into your own person, a lot of your ideas initially are going to be simple. And that's just because, one, you don't have time to think about this stuff. You're doing other things that are more fun. And two, it's just easier that when someone gives you a bit of information that kind of makes sense and on the surface just seems, okay, that's plausible. That makes sense. Then you just go with that. Then when someone like him, like Thomas comes along and pushes you in another direction or gets you to think things in a different way, it's tough. And the claim he's making right now is for these intellectuals, right? For people that espouse these amazing ideas and talk about how we should do things versus how we shouldn't do things. What's the cost they bear if they're wrong? It's usually nothing. Whether it's Pol Pot or Stalin or Lenin or Hitler or any of those guys that had ideas that didn't end well. In the end, history can kind of judge that, engage that. But as you see, even today, Marxist ideas are still very popular because they kind of make sense and they're very easy to digest. So it's just a super interesting point by him. Let's see if he has anything more to say on this topic.
Let me quote Intellectuals in Society, quote, "The fatal misstep of intellectuals is assuming that superior ability within a particular realm can be generalized to superior wisdom or morality overall. Chess grandmasters, musical prodigies, and others who are as remarkable within their respective specialties as intellectuals within theirs seldom make that mistake." Explain that. Why would it? Well, let's take an example. Noam Chomsky, whom you write about in Intellectuals in Society, whose work in linguistics, in the first place, I can't understand it, but as best I can tell, everyone who understands his technical work within the field, within his discipline of linguistics, considers him one of the great figures of the 20th century. And his work in politics?
Absurdity. The same could be said of Bertrand Russell and his landmark works on mathematics and other people in other fields, but they step outside their field. And when you step outside your level of specialty, sometimes that's like stepping off a cliff.
And why is it that intellectuals, that is to say people whose end product is ideas, should succumb to that temptation more than, to use your example, a chess grandmaster?
Because a chess grandmaster can be world famous for doing absolutely nothing more than winning chess tournaments and making displays, as many of them do, of playing 5 chess games simultaneously while blindfolded.
So Bobby Fischer had no need to opine on the politics of the day because he was getting rich and famous and making a brilliant career for himself within his narrow profession.
That's right. That's right.
But intellectuals, what? They languish in obscurity, no matter how smart.
Well, the whole question of when is someone well known or not came up during the visit of Jim Flynn from New Zealand here a few years ago. He's one of the world's authorities on IQ tests. Mm-hmm. People, in India know about Jim Flynn. People in England, he made a world tour. But I doubt if the people in the next block from where he lives know who he is.
I see. All right.
Against this background.
It's an interesting idea. It's kind of like a stay in your lane kind of thing. I mean, with all due respect to Thomas Sowell, I mean, he's an economist and he does a lot of opining, but I think he's still, he doesn't say that they can't discuss the topics. I think he's merely saying that they're just wrong, or they have a, it doesn't mean that they're right just because they're famous in another avenue. But I'll leave this one there. Do it again real soon. Thanks a lot. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys later.